pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, Ruth. Thank you, Paul. Sorry.
You're good.
Appreciate it. Oh, I hate that. Is there? I'm not at work. Oh, I'm here in this thunder.
We'll move on to number 3, open forum. In addition to public comment on agenda items, the commission offers an open forum whereby citizens may comment on governance issues over which the city of Nacogdoches has domain. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, members of the commission shall not discuss, deliberate, or make any decisions on topics not posted as an agenda item. Speakers should address all remarks to the commission and limit your remarks to no more than 3 minutes. Move on to the consent agenda, approval, 4A, approval of the minutes. Consider approval of minutes for March 11th, 2024. So we skipped last month. And whenever someone's ready, make a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say same. Moving on to the regular agenda. Agenda item, is there anything for consideration? Further, nothing. Okay, we'll move on to B, public hearing. Consider a recommendation to the city council for a special use permit for the distillation of liquor, spirits, etc., crafts in B3 Central District, Business District, on Lot 17, City Block 3, located at 403 East Hospital Street. The applicant is proposing to operate an approximately 1,200 square foot craft distillery with a tasting room in an existing shopping center. This request has been submitted by Sherry Hat and Mad Hatter Distillery, case file SUP 2024-02. Yes, sir. Turn over you, Juan.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. Juan Paulette, Interim City Planner. So this request is for specific use permit to operate a craft distillery with a tasting room located at 403 East Hospital Street. It's located just downtown, east of the Fredonia Hotel. The property is not in a historical district, but is located adjacent to the downtown historic district to the south and the Washington Historic District to the north. The applicant originally came to us last year inquiring about opening a small craft distillery in town, but at the time, that land use was not listed on our land use schedule. After doing some research, staff presented adding this land use schedule to City Council, and it was approved in April of last year. So this property is Zone B3's Central Business and requires approval of a specific use permit for a craft distillery to operate in the zoning district. The surrounding areas are zoned and developed as commercial, which include a mix of retail, restaurants, and general offices, with the exception of a few single-family homes, Zone B2, adjacent to the north. The applicant is proposing to use the existing 1,200 square foot building with the distilling and tasting room limited to the interior of the building. There will be no outside seating or live music, and the applicant is proposing the following conditions. Hours of operation will be from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday. On Sunday, we had to make an adjustment. Originally, the applicant wanted to open at 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday, but we were informed that TABC rules only allow you to serve liquor from 10 a.m. to noon, unless if you're serving food. And so since the applicant isn't proposing to serve any food, she's going to move it from noon to 6 on Sunday.
Wait.
Well, it's showing 11, so has the application been amended already, or do we need to make that exception?
No, you just make the
Exception here?
exception
Okay.
when you propose a condition to open at noon on Sunday. It's not working again.
So noon to 6 p.m. One clarification?
Noon to 6 p.m. on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone that's gone virtual these days, we're all,
The weather's crazy.
So this slide is the proposed property with a view from East Hospital Street. It's still,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Is it out of order? Is the no live music and no outdoor seating stipulation, is that written into the SUP?
It's just what the applicant is proposing, but if you want it to be part of the SUP, you can have that in there. Right now, I think the only part of the conditions would be the hours of operation, but you can add that if you feel, if the applicant and you feel that it's needed.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Doesn't the Fredonia have live music?
They do.
And they're right next to them.
Mhm.
As well as the Fredonia Brewery.
Yeah,
Yeah, as does the Fredonia Brewery, that's great.
but I believe the concern is because there's a single-family residential just 75 feet north of the subject property, which was the concern. But the applicant is proposing not to have live music anyway, it's just a tasting room and
Okay,
that's it.
it's a non-starter.
Could potentially change. Slow classical music.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're just
Is within the 200-foot notification area. Staff sent out 9 notices to those property owners and have received 1 written response in favor of the request. Staff also held a neighborhood meeting for the property owners within 500 feet of the subject property on April 2nd. 2 of the surrounding property owners that live in one of the adjacent single-family homes to the north attended the meeting with concerns about noise and the possibility of live music and outdoor seating in the back of the building. The applicant explained that all business operations would be contained to the interior of the building and no live music was being proposed, and the property owners were fine with the proposal. Staff believes that this use is compatible with the surrounding similar uses and is in line with the comprehensive plan by supporting economic development and developing a vibrant and viable commercial area. Staff believes that this request meets the conditions of approval as outlined in your staff reports and recommends approval of the specific use permit with the additionally previously mentioned condition that the hours of operation be between 2 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, 11 to 9 p.m. on Saturday, and 12 to noon on Sunday. And this concludes staff's presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions from the commission. And the applicant, Sherry Hatt, is in attendance. And I believe she has a presentation that she wants to do. And then we can answer any questions.
Great, thank you.
Well, can you go back to the hours of operation?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Did y'all have any questions?
No, sir, go ahead. I don't think so right now. Does Ms. Hatt want to come up and present?
And she has a presentation that she wants to do too.
If you would state your name and address, please.
I am Sherry Hatt. I am located at 403 East Hospital Street in Nacogdoches.
And it's yours.
All right. Well, I'm Sherry of Mad Hatter Distillery, and I'm here to present my long-planned retirement project called the Mad Hatter Distillery. We are planning on bringing this to Nacogdoches in a legitimate form, of course. That's why we're going through all these processes. We're planning on distilling multiple distilled spirits, including moonshine, vodka, whiskey, rum, and possibly down the road brandy. We haven't settled on the brandy, but the first 4 are definitely going to be what we're planning to distill. The building is built into 2 separate rooms. One is the still house where we'll be actually making our distilled spirits, and those distilled spirits will be sampled in our tasting room, and we will be serving cocktails with the spirits that we make in-house, and our real money makers will be those bottle sales to go. So that'll be one of the things that we bring the revenue from this type of business to Nacogdoches. Everybody wants to know when we're going to open, as soon as we can. So there's quite a long, lengthy approval process. First, we have to get through you and then the city council, and then once we get through all that, then we start working with the federal government. We work on our distiller's permit. Our labeling approvals everything has to be approved by the federal government. So we have our labels in design right now. Our bottles have been chosen. From there, we'll be applying for our TBC license, and that is the big permit in Texas. That's the one that allows us to make our alcohol and sell it. So they'll be in to visit, I'm sure, quite a bit. So our time frame for this is really, I just kind of broke it down into about what I think it takes. So once we meet with city council, if they decide to approve it, then we'll move on to our applications to the TTB and to TABC. TABC is about 6 to 12 months once we submit the application. TTB is about 75 days out right now. So we're looking at we're hoping towards the end of the year, first part of 2025. Sooner if everything goes the way we want. We're going to be located at 403 East Hospital Street. We chose that location because it's it's convenient. So it's right between the hotel and the brewery. Everything's in walking distance. It's easily accessible for tourism. It's not too far off the Brick Street where people can come by and take a look at what we're doing. Yeah, so there's already some establishments selling alcohol, so we just kind of want to get on that ship and do the same thing and bring cheer and goodness to everybody in the area that decides to come by and check out the Mad Hatter Distillery. So why are we doing this? Well, for multiple reasons. There's no distilleries in downtown Nacogdoches. We do have one out on the outskirts of town, but there's nothing downtown. It helps to increase tax revenue for Nacogdoches. We'll be a destination spot for sure. So we'll bring tourism to Nacogdoches. And we'll piggyback with everybody, you know. It's a really good thing for all of downtown. We bring increased revenue to all of the people that we locally source to. Everything that we can, we do source locally. All of our corn and our sugar will be sourced locally. And last but not least is my retirement plan. I do have a day job, so I'm trying to get out of that. So our financial forecast, my numbers, they're very conservative. I have a feeling that these numbers are actually going to be more on the doubled side. But what we did was we took the averages of the Fredonia Hotel, the Bonita Creek Hall, and what we consider the Cottage Wine Bar is our competitors. A couple of companies weren't available for their numbers, so we weren't able to include those. But we took all these averages, and then I took what the numbers looked like during COVID at a worst case scenario. And so those were my worst case scenario numbers. I have a feeling that they'll be much higher than that. So a lot of revenue there. Is that fast enough? Anybody have any questions?
You did great.
All right.
How, just out of curiosity, how have experience in this, obviously, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
What's your background, just quickly?
Out in Bastrop, I have some really good friends that run the Copper Shot Distillery. So about the last 6 years, we've been mentoring under them. Went to school out in Colorado to take some distillation classes. You know, I'm really good at sampling. And during COVID, it really all came about during COVID. You know, we kind of supported, we wanted to think that we supported Copper Shot and kept them in business during COVID. So we thought, gosh, we could do the same thing. So the next thing was finding a place where we wanted to do it. So Nacogdoches just seemed like the right place. You know, we live in Redland. Angelina County's dry. I like Nacogdoches better, so.
I do too.
We decided to settle on Nacogdoches, so.
Well, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I actually have a couple of questions. Obviously, it's going to be a small batch.
Yes.
In terms of distribution, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but are you planning on just doing local distribution? Are you doing anybody that will buy? If a retail store chain like Specs wants to buy from you, are you going to?
Well,
Is that your goal?
I'll answer that question in a different manner. We are small craft, so our license will only allow us to make 3,000 gallons a year. You can sell 3,500. That means the previous year you had 500 left over. In order to even distribute to a company like Specs, the amount of alcohol that you have to produce is not attainable for us. We have a 100-gallon pot still, and we have a 50-gallon pot still. So we're not even gonna be coming close to those numbers in the beginning. Do we plan on getting into distribution? That would be great, but it's not the goal.
Okay, thank you, because the space is kind of small
It's very
for
small.
what your intentions were, and I was thinking about traffic patterns.
Yes.
Other thing that I would like to ask you is, in terms of your numbers, which is great, you've done your research, but all of them have food. So that draws the crowd and keeps the crowd there. And while you you have your experience with distilleries, are you accounting for that?
We have, we're really gonna draw on food trucks.
Okay.
I mean, that is kind of the trend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what they do at the Front Porch Distillery. They have a food truck that comes out there on the weekends. We have food trucks all over Nacogdoches. I just got basically approval from our property owner that if we want to have a food truck out in the parking lot, then we're welcome to. We just
Great.
pay the parking.
Okay, that's perfect. That's what I wanted to know.
And
Thank
we'll
you.
have prepackaged snacks. We'll have
Okay.
lots of things to make people thirsty and want to drink more.
Great.
Salty things.
Big salty things, popcorn, pretzels.
Thank you very much. Those were my questions.
Anything
All
else?
right.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for your time, y'all.
Thank you. We'll open it up for public comment. Does anyone like to make comment on it? We will close public comment and open it up for commission discussion.
I actually have a question, one. The neighborhood meeting that you had, how did that go?
It went great. Like I said, we only had 2 residents show up, and they were just north of it in one of the residential houses.
Just the residential houses,
Just
okay.
the ones that that was it.
Okay. Wonderful. No
We had a couple
questions?
other people like George Barham, they came in to support, but the only ones with concerns were those 2 neighbors.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Anything? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to advance this with the conditions for the hours that are listed on the application.
It's just for clarity, Matt, it's not gonna be on the application. We're gonna have to amend the hours on Sunday from 11 to 6 to
12 to
12 to
6.
6.
Okay, so I make a motion to advance this with the conditions that are listed with the updated hours for Sunday from 12 to 6.
Okay.
Thank you.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say same. So carries with the amended SUP to reflect the 12 to 6 on Sunday. Everything else stays the same in the application. Thank you.
Thanks, Juan.
Congratulations.
And
Hey, Cherry.
good luck.
Can't wait.
Moving on to 5C, consider recommendation to City Council for a special use permit for liquor by the drink for lots 30, 49, 49-A, and 49-B, and outlot 47-A, City Block 43, as described in a deed dated July 17th, 2020, recorded in document number 2020-4460 of the real property records of Nacogdoches County, located on the southwest corner of Bremen Street and West Main Street. This request has been submitted by Brent Ivy and Ivy Got Property LLC, case file SUP 2024-03.
Wow.
Yes, sir, a lot of numbers in there.
Mouthful.
Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Juan Paulette, Interim City Planner. And this may be familiar to some of you, and that's because this item was originally approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council in August and September of 2021. But unfortunately, due to the shortage and the rising cost of building materials at the time, the applicant had to delay the project. And the reason that it's being presented again is because the ordinance state that the SUP is only valid for a period of 6 months from approval, and then it is null and void unless they start construction. The lot is located on the southwest corner of West Main and Bremen Street, just south of the Lone Star Feed Store. The combined lots are approximately 2¼ acres and has approximately 360 feet of street frontage along West Main Street and 160 feet along Bremen Street. The property is currently undeveloped, and the owner plans to develop the property into a family-friendly indoor-outdoor bar and food service establishment that accommodates local food trucks and it has outdoor recreation area. The property is zoned B2 General Business and I1 Light Industrial and is currently vacant. The area consists of a mix of zoning districts and land uses, including commercial and industrial development, and a number of single-family homes along West Main Street that are zoned B2 General Business. A small portion of the property abuts single-family zoning on the southwest corner of the property, which is what triggers the need for a specific use permit. The ordinance state that if an establishment sells liquor by the drink that is closer than 300 feet of a residential district, then a specific use permit will need to be approved by City Council. The future land use map designates the west part of the subject property as single-family residential and a small section of the east as rural development due to the close proximity to Bonita Creek and the flood zone. The future land use of this area is not consistent with the current zoning. However, it does further some of the land use policies in the comprehensive plan, such as maintaining compatibility with existing uses. Additionally, the SUP will not change the current zoning of the property or the land use associated with that zoning district. This is a view of the subject property from West Main Street, and then some of the adjacent commercial buildings around it. So on the site plan, you'll see color-coded areas. The area in blue is a 1,500 square foot building and the 2,500 square foot covered seating area. The yellow area is approximately 2,000 square feet and is the proposed recreation area for outdoor games. Some of the common nuisances associated with this use is noise and light. To mitigate this, the applicant is proposing to preserve the natural buffer that exists along the southern and western property lines and range between 30 and 70 feet wide. That's the area in green. In the top of the L-shaped lot is a proposed parking lot. The applicant is proposing 35 spaces there, and based off the square footage of the building, 40 would be required. The applicant has a shared parking agreement for the remaining spaces with the adjacent commercial property to the south. And here's a slide of the proposed exterior elevations. This slide shows the types of uses within the 200-foot notification area. Staff sent out 11 notices to those property owners, and at the time of this report was written, staff received one written response in support of the request. Staff has recently received, today as a matter of fact, another written letter in support, and that should be in your packets.
5B, yeah, is in the wrong spot.
So staff also held a neighborhood meeting for the property owners within 500 feet of the subject property on February 27th. And none of the surrounding property owners attended the meeting.
It was up here.
Oh.
In the wrong spot.
So staff believes this request meets the conditions of approval as outlined in your staff report and recommends approval for the specific use permit with the following conditions. The hours of operation would be from 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Monday through Sunday, and preserve the existing vegetative buffer as shown in the SUP exhibit. And this concludes staff's presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions from the commission.
Do we have the same limitations as the noon on Sunday as we did with the prior one?
No, because he'll be serving food.
Oh, okay, gotcha, okay.
Well, no amendments have been made to this. It's the same site.
It's basically the same plan. I think the only difference is he's not proposing to do a live music stage like he was before.
Oh.
Can we make that a condition?
Yeah, we can make it a condition. Yes,
Well, he's gonna come up and
Yeah.
he's gonna talk about
Okay.
it, so.
Mr. Ivy, you wanna take the stage here? Pun intended. Name and address, please.
Brent Ivy, 6140 FM 698 in Nacogdoches. Like Juan said, we were here a couple years ago. We got our permit, and within the 6 months to start construction, we had our architect go AWOL after we sent the first round of plans into the city. So during the red line process, we basically expired. Plus, we had all kinds of issues during COVID with supply chain and all that. We didn't want to build part of a building and then pay interest on a loan waiting. So we just decided to let it expire, come back when things stabilize, which they've done now. But the joke, what we're talking about the stage is, we had kind of designated a place on our SUP for a, just kind of like a stage setup. If somebody wanted to come play acoustic or whatever. The Daily Sentinel wrote an article right after the P&Z meeting last time that said it was going to be a live concert venue, and all the neighbors showed up to city council, and it got really hectic in here. And so I just decided, hey, you know what, we're not going to build a stage, but I mean, I could hold concerts there if I wanted to right now. The only reason we're here is because I border 50 foot of a residential unit which has been vacant for decades. So that's the only reason we're here. So it's same thing. The only difference is, aside from the stage, is I did bump the hours, but we were at 10 last time, and I bumped it to 10:30 just because if the Aggies are playing football or the Astros are playing baseball, I'm not going to kick people out. So if y'all have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
yeah.
I was here last time when it came through, Brent, so.
Yeah, we put sound buffers in, AKA trees for that. Very disappointed.
That's right. So.
Okay.
We may make you do a stage.
Yeah, I think that it's a condition that we're gonna add.
Well, I don't think it's necessary, because we're gonna have a little porch there, it was just a designated area, so I think we'll still have that. Because, we have a decibel level, we have to,
Right.
and we'll stay within that, so, I don't see it as being an issue, so we just kinda dropped it, just in case a reporter didn't wanna call and ask a question about it or something like that, so.
Sure.
We just decided to remove the ambiguity. And then, like Ms. Hatt was saying, we gotta go through TABC too, we've got the process too, so we're hoping if we get through next week, fingers crossed, cause I'll be in Spain while we're having our hearing, so hopefully it doesn't go off the rails. Then, we're looking to try to be up somewhere this winter or first part of next year.
Okay.
My wife, who is in the audience now watching, is jealous that you're going to Spain, so.
I think we all are. On a totally different note, I hope they caught the horse thieves.
I have a 90% certainty I know who did it.
Well, good.
I don't know if
Hopefully there's evidence pointing towards it, but,
there is. We have an eyewitness, so
well, good.
hopefully that'll wrap itself up soon.
Well, thank you for coming to present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll open it up for public comment. Are there anyone like to address the commission? If not, we'll close public comment. Is there any discussion amongst the group?
Nope.
I have a question. Is this accessible from both West Main and Bremen?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so people can turn in either way.
Right.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say same. So the SUP is approved based on the application that was submitted. Thank you. Brent, thank you, sir. Have a safe
Have
trip.
fun. Yeah.
All right, moving on to 5D. Consider a recommendation of the City Council for a special use permit for a tattoo salon piercing studio in the north half lot number 8 in the block 42 of Robert Berger subdivision of the City of Nacogdoches, a plat which is recorded in volume 126, page 432 of the deed records of Nacogdoches County, Texas, located at 1203 Douglas Road, Suite 101. The applicant is proposing to use the existing 800 square foot building for a tattoo salon. This request has been submitted by Caitlin Stabinski, and if I said that wrong, I apologize. Case file SUP 2024-04. Mr. Planner.
Thank you, Chairman. Juan Paulette, interim city planner. So as stated, this request is for a specific use permit to operate a tattoo studio located at 1203 Douglas Road, Suite 101, along the city's east and west commercial corridor. The applicant plans to use the existing 800 square foot tenant space to create hand-poked tattoos. These tattoos are created without a machine and instead use a needle that is dipped in ink and then poked in the skin dot by dot. The property is zoned B2 general business and requires the approval of a specific use permit for a tattoo salon to operate in this zoning district. The surrounding areas are zoned commercial, but are developed with a mix of retail business, general office, and residential along Douglas Road. The future land use map designates the property as single-family residential. Although the future land use of this area is not consistent with the current zoning, it does further some of the land use policies in the comprehensive plan, such as maintaining compatibility with existing uses. And the approval of the SUP will not change the current zoning of the property or the land uses associated with the zoning district. This is a picture of the subject property from Douglas Road. And then some of the adjacent commercial businesses. And that's a single family house just west of it. The future land use map designates the subject property. Oh, I'm sorry. This slide shows the uses within the 200-foot notification area. Staff sent out 11 notices to those property owners and have not received any responses in favor or in opposition of the request. Staff also held a neighborhood meeting for the property owners within 500 feet of the subject property on April 9th. None of the surrounding property owners attended the meeting. So staff believes that this request meets the conditions for approval as outlined in the staff report and recommends approval for the specific use permit with the following conditions. Hours of operation are from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Tuesday, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday, and closed on Sunday. And this concludes staff's presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions. And the applicant, Caitlin, is here if you have any questions for her or if she wants to speak.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, sir. Would the applicant like to speak? If you would, when you come up, state your name and address, please.
Caitlin Stavinsky, 411 Arbor Oak Drive, Nacogdoches. So I'm proposing a tattoo salon. It would be appointment only. I know I do have hours of operation, but it would fall into appointment only. For now, it's just me. I know the building is somewhat sizable for just me. In the future, I might look into getting another person. Right now, my plan is just me. As he stated, it is hand-poked tattoo, so it is a better way to say it is non-electric tattoo. Everything is exactly the same use needles, single use, same ink, everything, just as permanent, just dot by dot. I've been doing this for about 3 years. I have a good base built up with my customers. I have a lot of local people, but I do have a lot of out-of-town people who travel as well. So I believe that would bring income into the town as well. But that's about it.
Well, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll open it up for public comment. Would anyone like to address the matter? All right, we'll close it. Commission? Anything?
Not on my behalf.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Go ahead.
No.
You
You
go.
get,
No, I already had one.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal with the
I'll s-
conditions as printed here.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say same. Okay, this SUP has been approved with, as filed. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Next stop, it'll go to city council, so. Yeah. All right, moving on to 5E, consider recommendation to city council for zone change from R4 multifamily to R2 single family for approximately 1 acre, being lot 12, city block 41, located at 1102 Logansport Street. This request has been submitted by Rudy Boyack, case files ZON 2024-01. Mr. Planner.
Thank you, Chairman. Juan Paulette, Interim City Planner. So this property is located on the east side of Logansport Street, just south of Pecan Park, and is currently developed with a single-family residence. So this property originally was zoned R2 single-family and was rezoned to R4 multifamily in August of 2020. Last month, the property owner applied for a lot dimensional variance through the Zoning Board of Adjustment to add 2 single-family residents to the property and was denied by the board. In order to advance the project, the owner has decided to downzone the property to R2 and reapply through the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a subdivision plat variance under the R2 zoning district. If approved, this is how the applicant plans to subdivide the property. This is a survey of the property, and if you'll see, the applicant has the 2 proposed single-family residents on either side of the existing current single-family residence in the middle. So this area is a mix of low and high residential zoning districts consisting of R1 and R2 single-family, R3 two-family, and R4 multifamily. Surrounding land uses are single-family, vacant land, and the Pecan Park just north. The R2 single-family zoning district is intended to provide a slightly higher density residential area. Lots in this area must be 6,000 square feet or larger. The request is compatible with the zoning in the area and will not impact the adjacent land uses. The future land use plan designates the subject property as single-family residential, which is described as a conventional one-family detached dwelling, which include duplexes. R2 meets this comprehensive plan designation. This is a picture of the subject property, looking at it from Logansport Street. This slide shows the types of uses within the 200-foot notification area. Staff sent out 15 notices to the property owners and have not received any responses in favor or in opposition of the request. Staff believes this request meets the conditions for approval as outlined in your staff report and recommends approval for the zone change from R4 multifamily to R2 single family. And this concludes staff's presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I know that we can't do anything about the design of what he decides to build, can we? We can't.
That would be the ZBA board would have to have that decision. This is just strictly the zone change
Right.
back to
I understand.
R2.
Are there plans to improve that street there? And if so, is that going to be on the applicant, or is the city going to improve that?
There's no plans for the city as of yet to improve that street a little further. But I'll go back to if the applicant, if this gets approved, the applicant will have to improve the street from where it stops, which is right now around the middle lot, to the end of to the north side of the new lot's driveway.
What was it zoned before?
It was originally zoned R2.
It was originally, they took it to
And they
R4,
took
and
it
now
to
they're trying to take it
R4,
back to
and now
R2.
they're proposing
Okay.
to put it back to R2.
Okay.
I'm done.
Anything else? Okay.
It'd be nice if they put curb and gutter on that part of the street. It's pretty narrow and there's
Yeah.
ditches on either side, as you
Yes,
well know.
ditches, yeah. That would be nice, but
It's a sliver of a property.
Thank you, sir. I don't see the applicant here. I don't know.
no, the applicant's not
Okay.
present.
We'll open it up to public comment. Are there any public comment anyone wants to address? Name and address, please, ma'am.
Pat Costello, 1009 Logansport. I hope that you will bring it back to R2, which it never should have been removed from. And this has been a 4-year battle to do this, and we have compromised with the developer. And no, we don't really know what will be built there, but it will be 2 homes as opposed to what was originally planned. And therefore, I do hope we can bring it back to R2, and thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Pat.
Philip, anything? No? Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close public comment, open it up for discussion on commission, anything? If not, we'll take a recommendation or a motion, please.
I wanted to say something. I'm really appreciative of your efforts to do the right thing here and your persistence, and also congratulations to Mr. Bohack for recognizing that and being willing to cooperate, and I think this is the right solution. So, well done, in my opinion.
I would say the same thing. We're right back to where we started. Jerry, thank you for being in attendance, because this has been a long discussion, if you can call it that. And so for Mr. Bohack to come back and do what he thinks is right is very commendable. And, all the data and research and everything else that came with it, this is what operational, democratic process is for. And so we just want to say that.
It was a game changer for all the planning and zoning afterwards, too.
Yes.
And that's important, so.
It is important because there were a lot of changes that went with this, not the
Yes.
least of which is the zoning signs now that we have to post.
And the letters.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. So
Motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say same. So carries.
All right.
Moving on to number 7, discussion of possible action on future agenda items. A planning zoning member may inquire about a subject for which notice has not been given. A statement of specific factual information or the recitation of existing policy may be given. Any deliberation shall be limited to a proposal to place the subject on an agenda for a subsequent meeting. Do we have anything that needs to come up?
The only thing that I can think of is the workshop that we have with Nathan.
And that's, I think, you guys are going to come back to us, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Once he gets input from council and P&Z, then we'll put together another meeting. We're thinking maybe sometime in June.
Okay. I think we were all, it's hungry time,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's dinner time.
I
Were you
have
there?
one.
The workshop?
Ruth was not, but
Okay.
Maggie was, Matt was, and I was.
Okay,
and you
so
were.
I think there's a vehicle now to submit those directly.
There's a spreadsheet I think that Rhonda has sent
Okay.
that we can ask her questions
So-
on.
Highly encourage everyone to look over that. Any questions at all, please submit that, and we can discuss that at the next workshop.
It is,
It looks like it might be July, because
Okay.
city manager won't be here in June.
Get with me on the dates, because I'll be gone for 2 weeks in July, so.
I'm
but I
gone in
want to
June.
participate in that.
Nathan, is there a deadline for us to submit those questions to you?
Well, the sooner the better.
No, not at this time. The only thing I could say is that if we're wanting to have that workshop sooner than later, it would probably be best if we got those as soon as possible.
Sure.
But it doesn't look like, just as we had said before, it's going to take a little bit of time to organize everyone's schedule. So we'll probably have about, I would say definitely at least a month and a half before we will probably schedule something, but we'll try to probably have it early or late July, depending on people's holiday schedules.
Okay.
Thanks, Nathan. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
And then,
I recall an item that you brought up at the presentation that you made to us that I did not see in the packet, and I would like to see it discussed as a future agenda item, and that is limiting the amount of square, or the percentage that someone can use their front yard for parking. And do you recall that, Nathan?
Yes, ma'am. That was actually something I just didn't bring up. It should have been in, it should be in part of that one parking package as part of the associated changes near the end of the wording in the parking ordinance. It should be there for 50% of the front yard. But I will make sure that if it's not, that you guys have it so we can discuss it. And I might have inadvertently overlooked that, but we did want to bring that to your attention. And if we could bring it forward as an amendment, we would like to do that too.
Okay, great. I may have missed it, but I think it deserves some space because it could be controversial, and it would be nice to understand it fully with examples.
Yes, ma'am. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, Nathan, we talked a little bit about this in the workshop, but about having the city staff approve something that's, in line with all the ordinances and then going straight to city council so it doesn't actually have to go through all this process for delayed development. And it was specifically used for developers wanting to come in that were within the guidelines. You remember that, recall that in our conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
It's one of the things that I'd like to address is having like a developer guideline or a standard that we could all look at, that a construction developer would look at before going through with the project. I guess before an application is submitted, of something that of expectations from the city. Is that something that we currently have?
If I'm understanding your question correctly, is that we do have the opportunity for a pre-application or pre-development meeting for to occur for any sort of development that does come in. Right now it is just recommended. There are, as part of the proposal, we were going to actually have it as a guaranteed, just so we can make sure that we have that discussion with folks, so we're all on the same page and they don't get hung up as part of the process itself, or there's nothing that shows or becomes a hurdle for them, and they're very aware.
Right.
The idea behind that is that not to remove you as a recommending body, nor as the city as the approval body. However, if they go through that first round, in part of one of the processes for planned developments is that it was basically sending the developer back through the process again, which ends up adding additional time. And so what staff was trying to do or recommend as a potential proposal, doesn't necessarily mean we have to go with that, or maybe it would be a variation thereof. But if you as a recommending body and the city council were to approve the plan, then when they came back with the final plan, that staff would be able to approve it as submitted, as long as it met all of those requirements. So it wouldn't have to go through and kind of be, again, blessed by each of these respecting bodies, because it would just meet the recommendation and the approval of that particular plan, and we would kind of be just saying yes, it meets what they approved, and we can move on with the process itself.
That's right. Thank you.
That was kind of that in a nutshell.
Thank you, Nathan, for clarifying that. I guess one of the things that I would like to see for planning and zoning is that the city of Taylor does something where the developers come through and there's a standardized guideline, essentially, that the city staff has looked over and said, these are, our standard, it doesn't have to be specifically to it, but ideas and suggestions with types of development. Have you ever encountered something like that in your work?
I think I know what you're talking about, and I'll be happy to look at Taylor.
Madam Commissioner,
I'm kind of trying to.
I just want to limit this to
Yes,
possibly
sorry.
putting this on a future agenda.
Yes, we'll put it
rather
on the
than-
future. I'm sorry about that. But anyways, that's one thing that I would like to address and look at and see if that we could
Sure, of
possibly view and
Yeah,
discuss.
always open to, yeah, making things a little bit more streamlined.
Yes, thank
And
you.
again, that's not to remove any sort of, approval process. It's more along the lines that people can guarantee and count on the process. That's all.
That's right. Thank you very much. Eloquently said.
And we'll reserve that to talk at the workshop.
Yep.
Okay, all right, so, okay. I'm gonna go off script here a little bit, and I'm gonna ask my son to come up here and hammer the deal to adjourn us. He gets to
Awesome.
understand public service and also,
Whack the hammer.
see me away on Mondays.
You've got to introduce yourself, though.
You can announce you're Carl Conklin,
My name is Carl Conklin.
and you can adjourn it. We are adjourned, so thank you.
Thank you.